To this NCAA Women's Basketball Practice Day press conference from the Frank Irwin Center on the campus of the University of Texas. I'm Barb Koval, and will serve as the press conference moderator. We are joined now by Texas head coach Vic Schaefer and senior student athletes Joanne, Alan Taylor, and Audrey Warren. Coach Joanne and Audrey, welcome. Congratulations on your tournament selection and the Big 12 championship. A few notes to the media in attendance. Please, if you are either virtual or in person, please raise your hand for the microphone and state your name and affiliation. For those members who are joining us virtually, thank you. A reminder that you will use the Zoom identification raised hand function. If you want to ask a question, we'll ask questions here in Austin to our media assembled first, and then we'll go to our virtual media members. Coach, if you would like to give an opening statement, we can get going. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kova. I just first want to congratulate the teams that are here, University of Utah, University of Arkansas, and Fairfield, and just want to welcome them to Austin and congratulate them on a great year. Obviously, I'm extremely excited for our kids. This is a tremendous event. It's what you work for all year. Sometimes it's what you work for in your playing career or your coaching career. And for us to be able to host here at the University of Texas, I couldn't be more proud and happy for our kids. They've worked extremely hard. And for these two, as seniors, it's just really gratifying for me as a coach to be here with them today. So thank you for having us. And again, I'm excited about the opportunity. Obviously, this team's coming off a big win over the weekend, played extremely well, back-to-back 3 games in 40 hours, beating 2 top 10 teams within about 20 hours of each other, and doing it our way. And I've said that now a couple of times since then. You know, it's not like they're standing around in a 2-3 zone playing hope you miss defense. They're really playing hard and just playing Texas basketball. And it's, you know, it's hard to do. These young ladies have done it and did it over the weekend. And so now we get to play in the next tournament. And so excited about our opportunity. And again, really happy for our university and for the city of Austin to be able to host this event. And hopefully we're going to have a great crowd and provide a great experience for the 4 teams that are here, because there's some really good basketball players here, some Hall of Fame coaches, some really great universities being represented. So that being said, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Coach. We're going to take questions for our student athletes, Joanne and Audrey, first, and we'll start with folks here. Just identify yourself and your affiliation, please.
Danielle Lerner with the Houston Chronicle. This one's for Joanne. I want to ask you about Rory. You know, I know there's an age difference there, but I don't know, what was your level of familiarity with her before she actually got to UT, just being from Houston, and how have you seen her grow this year as a point guard?
Well, I've always known Rory because we come from the same district. She went to Cy Creek High School. I went to Cy Falls, so I played against her my senior year in high school. Even then, I knew she was going to be a tough player. And when she committed to the University of Texas, I was very excited because I knew she would fit well with the system, the way she plays extremely hard on both ends of the floor. So I was familiar with her before she got here. Yeah, and she's grown so much. You can see just over this past season, from the beginning of the season to now, how her game has changed, her leadership has changed on this team. So yeah, she's definitely grown a lot.
Danielle, do you have a follow-up question?
Can you expand a little bit on that, just the areas in which her game and her leadership have changed?
Yep, defensively, she sets the tone for us, so she gets us going on that end, and we follow suit. She plays hard on the ball, and it makes us want to play even harder, you know, in our matchups. Offensively, she's just been really key for us right now. High-level scorer in this tournament just this past weekend, and it's changed the dynamic of our team. It's taken pressure off of, you know, a lot of us because she's bringing buckets for us. And, yeah, so she's grown in that area just over this past weekend. But, like, her leadership, her voice, getting us in huddles, bringing us in, telling us where we have to be offensively. So she's grown in that aspect, of a point guard, really. So, yeah.
Thank you for those questions. We're going to have a question coming next from Jim Vertuno of the Associated Press.
Question for Audrey. Audrey, can you just talk us through the mentality of this team over this win streak? There was the back-to-back losses there, and then you guys just took off. What's been the difference in this team since then?
I think that the difference has been just our focus on little details. I think a lot of us kind of swept those under the rug and didn't see the importance of it. And, after you lose back-to-back like we did, it's key to focus on what you can get better at. And I think that's what everybody did, especially in practice. We locked down defensively, knowing that was what's going to win games, essentially. And I think everybody started getting in the gym a lot more after those two losses, and that's why everybody's hitting shots now. So I think just everyone coming together and focusing on what needed to be done to not make those mistakes again.
Jim, do you have a follow-up?
I was curious also, just in terms of being able to, it's a different subject, but playing at home for these first game, potentially the second game, just what does that do for this team in terms of you get to stay in your own place and be in your own environment right now?
I think anybody getting to host, it gives a huge advantage having your home court. Hope to see a lot of fans in the stands from the area, and the traveling and staying in a hotel and being in an unfamiliar area gives a lot of teams disadvantages, and I think we're going to take that to what we need to win the game.
Before we go to our next question, a reminder for those media members who are joining us virtually. If you intend on asking a question for one of our student athletes, please use the raised hand function now, and you'll be called on momentarily. Questions here?
Vic, you may have answered this question since I came in late, but what are your thoughts on number 11 on Fairfield? What does she bring to this team, and how much of a challenge is that going to be trying to defend her?
Well, she's an incredible player. We've watched some film. We've watched quite a bit of film on them and have a tremendous amount of respect for them and her in particular. She really is a special basketball player, can make shots, tough shots. And, it's going to take a tremendous team effort for us to keep an eye on her. And it won't be one person doing the job. Coach does a great job of putting her in a position to be successful. And I think her teammates have a great awareness of where she is and how to get her the ball at the right time. So we've got our hands full. This is a very veteran team, starting a bunch of seniors and grad transfers, and obviously a very confident team, having lost only one game since December 9th. So, she presents a lot of problems for us, and we're going to have to really be on point with her.
For both the players, with all the conversations around equity between the men's and women's tournaments last year, I know obviously it's the first day here, but have you noticed any changes or even just had discussions within the past year among yourselves about kind of what needs to change?
I think we all have discussions about it, whether it's related to basketball or not. We talk about the equity between men and women. As far as have I seen a difference? I'm not, first day, so I'm not really sure yet. But I know that, the NCAA and everyone else is going to work really hard to make sure both sides feel very comfortable and kind of get the same things.
Just a follow-up to that, and just to piggyback off of that, it's just nice that, this year it's, on the same level, on the same playing field. There's no difference between postseason women's basketball and postseason men's basketball. So it's just nice to just be on the same kind of stage that the men get this year.
Question again from Danny Davis, Austin American Statesman.
This question's for Joe and Audrey. For lack of a better word, are you all having fun this season? Have you been able to enjoy what this season is, or is this one of those things where you don't want to stop and smell the roses since there's still a lot ahead of you that you want to accomplish?
I think there's yes and no with that. Yes, we're having fun, and no, we don't want to stop to smell the roses because we're not done yet, and we want to keep having fun. And I think to all of us, winning equals fun. So when you're winning like we are right now and competing like we are, I think you can see in our faces on the court and off the court how much fun we're having.
Yeah, just to go off of that, winning is always fun, but like I think Coach says this a lot, success is just so fleeting, so you always want to keep chasing it. Like, you know, you get that championship, and then, okay, after that, what's next? Like, you stop working, or you just keep going. You want to feel that again, so, like, yeah, so we don't want to, you know, just bask in what we've accomplished. We want to just keep going.
We have time for 2 more questions for the student athletes before they're dismissed, so we'll go back to Jim Vertuno of the Associated Press for the next question.
Just to follow up on that point, you did win the Big 12 championship, the tournament championship. Huge moment, got over a program that had not, that had been a struggle. Was there a celebration moment, and then was there a step back, collective? Okay, that's behind us now. What was that conversation in the team?
Yeah, we had Monday off, so I think all of us, took that day to celebrate and bask in the championship. Right after the game, we celebrated all night up until we landed, and Tuesday we knew it was time to go back to work because we're not done. That was one championship down. We're reaching for another one, and we knew that we couldn't, that championship didn't define who we were, and that we still needed to come to work and get ready for the next game.
Any other questions for either Joanne or Audrey? Yes, back to Danny Davis of the Austin American Statesman.
Joe, last year during the run to the Elite Eight, did you learn anything about what quote-unquote championship basketball is, what it means to, win a championship in March?
More so that, like, if you come to play and you play your best basketball, like, it could be your night. More so, like, you have to be locked in and focused every game, and that any team has a chance. So, like, games are not won on paper. Like, I know last season a lot of people counted us out for most of those games, and I think we just played Texas basketball, and we stuck to our principles, and that's what won us the game. So I think going into this tournament this year, I think just to follow that, just to play our style of basketball and see where that gets us. So.
Our next question for the players will come virtually from Lauren Moses of Bally Sports. Lauren?
Hello, congrats on being there, guys. I have a question just about your underclassmen and how you think the journey has been of getting them on board. You talk about sort of having a chip on your shoulder this year after, naysayers, but what has that journey been like to get them on board, not only get caught up to speed of, the style of Texas basketball, but also understanding that there's something on the line, especially for you two as seniors?
It's been a journey getting them on board and getting their mind focused on college basketball. I think a lot of young athletes, when they get to college straight from high school, you're more than likely your best player at your high school. So you probably played a lot, but then you get to college and things might not be the same for you. And I think that's discouraging for a lot of athletes, but I think Joe, Lauren, and I, and anybody else that was that's a upperclassman really tried to help them realize that it's a process and it's a team thing now, and everybody, whether you're in practice or whether we're out on the track, whether we were going through the program, it's a game, everybody has a part in what we do. They have a role. And so Coach has always talked about doing your role and doing it to the best of your ability, and that's going to help everybody win.
Lauren, is there a follow-up question?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. If that's it for Audrey and for Joanne, I want to thank you both for joining us. Thank you for your contributions today, and best of luck to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, and Coach will stay for other questions.
Good job.
All right, we'll turn it over to Coach Schaefer, and our first question will come here. Danielle?
Coach Danielle with the Houston Chronicle.
My
Two
hometown
things.
paper, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I know, I'm aware. I covered Louisville when you guys were in the Final Four against them in 18. But
When I lived there, I don't believe you were alive yet, but that's okay.
we don't need to get into the numbers. I wanted to follow up with you on two things. First, of the equity question that I asked the players, just, where do you think that this sport still needs to go, and what needs to be done from the NCAA side, but also from anyone else, fans, media, people within the game, to keep elevating it?
Yeah, I'm quite confident, and again, it's the first day. I've been on the court this morning early at 7 for something, and you notice the March Madness insignias and the NCAA insignias that are down there now, which weren't there last year when we were really all over this part of Texas trying to play an NCAA tournament, and so that's the first thing you notice is that. Those things are there that weren't there a year ago. I have to, again, I hope, it's my sincerest hope that those folks realize the mistakes that were made, and that was at the forefront of their plans going into this year. And I feel confident that our young ladies, our young women are going to have a great experience in the NCAA tournament, as all teams will. It's a great event. It's an incredible tournament, and they need to. And I can tell you this, the University of Texas will do their part to make sure these 4 teams have an unbelievable experience, and because that's what the University of Texas is all about. And so they're at a great place. If there is something missing, our folks here will make sure they never even know it, because they'll do their part to make sure it's a great event.
Obviously, you've been coaching this game for a long time. Just what have you seen over the course of your career as far as advancements in that area?
Well, Coach Conrad and I sit around and talk about it all the time. We've driven the van, we've gotten out, coached, and got back in the van and driven back home. It's we've washed uniforms, we've hung dry them, we've done all that. Through the course of time, you can look back, over the course of the last 25, 30 years, the investment that I think athletic departments make in women's basketball has changed drastically. Now at the University of Texas, it's always been there. It's something that's always been very important here, and I think you have to give our administration here a lot of credit. Chris Plonsky, who's been here a long, long time, has been a part of that. And so I just think when you talk to folks who have done it probably as long as I have, and then some, we have people on our staff, those jobs weren't even here, 20 years ago, right? 25 years ago. Those opportunities weren't there. And so the way you're able to take care of your student athletes, travel, things of that nature, it's just different, and rightfully so, right? I think our folks here, just in the 12,000 that we had a week ago for Oklahoma State, that's the value that a women's basketball program can provide your university. Having 12,000 people in the gym raising $150,000 for a charity, that's what a women's basketball program can provide for your university, the experience for your student athletes, for your community, for your city. And, the positive exposure that you get for an event, like, you can't put a price tag on that. Like, there's no advertisement for the University of Texas that can do what maybe that day in 2 hours did. And so again, I think that there's all kinds of things like that You know, when you turn on the TV and there's 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 at a game, whether you're a women's basketball fan or not, you turn on a TV and you see an arena full of people, you go, hey, whoa, what is that? Who's playing? Man, there's a lot of people there. Let me watch. And the next thing you know, you've watched it for 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, and so now you've become a fan, right? Or you've become impacted by, hey, that place might be a pretty special place. I've got a daughter or son that's looking into a school, man, they show a lot of support for their team. And so that's the impact that a women's basketball program, you know, can provide for a university. So, you know, for our young ladies, I've got some incredible young women that do an incredible job in representing this university. If you've been to any of our games, you see that the game's over. We don't get back to the, you know, locker room for an hour because they're going to sign every autograph. They're going to take every picture with every little kid that's at the game. And you know what? It ain't just little kids. It's older kids, you know, and it's parents, it's grandparents, because they truly believe that, you know, they enjoy watching them play. And if you're a Texas Longhorn, that becomes your kids. They're not even my team to some of them. That's their girls. And that's what it's all about right there. So there's a lot that our program and programs across the country can do for your university. And I think our kids in our program is starting to come into that in just our second year.
Thank you. And last one for me, just on Rory. Where do you think the poise and the confidence that she plays with comes from?
Well, I think the kid's a confident kid. I think she's confident. She's got a tremendous skill set. But what separates Rory is the thought for the day that I have. You know, it says, I believe effort magnifies talent, and effort unifies a team. That's our thought for the day. Her effort magnifies her talent. I mean, you come to practice, you're going to see that kid work hard every day. She's the first one out in defense on the floor, and she is busting it for 3 minutes every day. She just doesn't take plays off, and she knows the importance of her role on our team on both ends. And this is my argument for anyone that wants to say, well, you know, and there's been some talk around here, you may have heard it or may not, why she wasn't on the first team all Big 12. You know, all those awards go to people that score a lot of points or score and rebound or all that. Rory Harmon plays both ends of the floor, and she plays both ends just as hard. So when you're talking about a kid that impacts a game, it's not just her points and her assists or lack of turnovers that impact a game. It's what she brings to the table on the other end that a lot of kids don't do. I mean, let's just call it like it is. They don't do that. And so if you get 10 people in the room and go, you got first pick, who do you want? I find it hard to believe, and a lot of other people do too, that she's not going to be one of the first 10 kids picked because of what she brings to the table and how she plays the game on both ends of the floor. And that's what's hard to find in today's game. You know, there's lots of people like to score the ball, but they don't want to guard. And she enjoys that piece of the game. She enjoys guarding. She enjoys making other people miserable. And her teammates do too. And again, here's what, you know, if I'm her teammate and I see Rory Harmon picking up 94 feet and I'm behind her, I'm probably looking at her going, okay, she's playing pretty hard. I guess I'll play pretty hard behind her. You know, if you're soft on the ball, you're probably going to be soft behind the ball too. But if you're playing your rear off on the ball, you're probably going to have four behind you playing really hard too. And that's the value that she brings to our table, just one of the values. But it's an incredible value that's really important to our program.
Thanks for those questions, Danielle. And before we come back to other media members here in Austin, I want to remind those who are joining us virtually that if you do have a question for Coach Schaefer, please put the raised hand function up now, and you will be called on momentarily. Danny Davis from the Austin American-Statesman. Go ahead, Danny.
Vic, I'm sure your team loved their experience last year, but do you think they fully got to enjoy it, considering the bubble and, you know, limited fans in San Antonio? Do you think they fully got to enjoy the March experience?
Yeah, I think you and I both know it's really difficult circumstances. I think they certainly enjoyed winning, and we finally got to have some fans at our game there. But that's such a big place. That arena, I mean, it's hardly cozy. You know, there's a lot of room in there. And even though we had a lot of fans there, they were just spread out everywhere because that's what was required. If you were going to go to the game, you know, it just because we were in the middle of the pandemic. And so, you know, we probably had as many fans as anybody just because of the proximity. But, and they, you know, they did enjoy it. They had, you know, had an incredible experience winning games that, you know, they beat a top 10 UCLA, then they beat another top 6 or 7 Maryland. So they had that experience, but did they really get to fully enjoy it? Absolutely not. I mean, you're waking up every morning, walking across the street, testing, you know, getting tested, waiting in line, getting tested, and you got to walk back. I mean, you get up in the morning, you walk out of your hotel room, there's food on a table out in the hall, you get your food, you go back in your room and sit by yourself. And that's a miserable way to live. And that was every day. And so, you know, nobody wants to live that way. And so, you know, we're getting back closer to having some type of normalcy, and this is what you want your kids to experience, right? You've had an incredible year, which they have. They've really achieved a great deal. They're getting to host the NCAA tournament. They've achieved a 2 seed, which is really hard to do. They've won the Big 12 tournament championship, which is really hard to do. And so they're you know, I want them to enjoy it. I asked the same question. Somebody asked about, are they having fun? You know, I asked them here a while back, you know, because it's important to me that they have fun. You know, it's a game. They should have fun. And both of them answered it the same way they did today. They said, hey, Coach, winning's fun. You know, it's a whole, and it's always what I've said. It's hard to have fun when you're getting your butt beat, right? I mean, it is. And so, you know, but I think they're having fun because they're experiencing the fruits of their labor. I mean, these kids work extremely hard. They play hard. And so, you know, I think this tournament, the way it is right now, this is the way it's supposed to be. And so, again, Danny, we need fans in the stands to provide a great atmosphere for this event. There's 4 great teams here, 4 great coaches, a lot of great players. It's our job to provide them with a great experience, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that we'll do a great job with that.
Our next question from Jim Vertuno from the Associated Press.
Just to follow up on that real quick, I mean, you've got not just Rory, but you got 2 other freshman players of the year in their respective conferences. Can you just speak to the young talent that you see, the emerging talent you see here in Austin, in this site?
Yeah, no question, Jim. I'm fully aware of those kids as well as their other teammates. I mean, there's a lot of really good players here, and great teams from great conferences and great coaches. And I think you're going to see a real high quality brand of basketball being played here. And, you know, every team's got their work cut out for them, you know. And so, but I think it's going to be a really good weekend of great basketball. And, you know, this is a tough region right here, in my opinion. This is a region where there's been some teams have a lot of success. They've beaten a lot of really good teams. And you're going to have to play really good to get out of here, you know, on Sunday, whoever it is. And we're fully aware of that at Texas. And our kids are aware of that. And I love the approach that our kids have of one game at a time. It's just kind of how we've been all year. If you've been with me at all, you could ask me who I'm playing after the next game, and I couldn't tell you. I just live in that bubble, and that's where my kids live too. I don't ever let them look ahead. They don't look ahead. They know that the next game is the most important, and that's where our focus needs to be. And then we get through that one, we'll get to the next one. And so that's kind of where they're at right now. I think you ask any coach, you start looking at the top of the mountain when you're climbing it, you're going to stumble. You better focus on every little step. And the first step on that for us right now is Fairfield.
All right, we'll take our final question from our media here in Austin, and then we'll turn to our virtual media members to conclude this press conference. Danny?
Vic, overall, how much do you think your schedule prepared you for this? Big 12 was obviously tough. Played some good. Jackson State turned out to be pretty good. Princeton, Stanford, obviously. How much do you think that schedule kind of prepped you for this?
Yeah, our schedule's a nightmare, Danny. I mean, you go through our league at 18 conference games, and then, oh, by the way, now congratulations, you get to go play in the conference tournament, and you're going to play 3 NCAA tournament teams, and, oh, by the way, 2 of them are in the top 10. I mean, it's a nightmare. You know, and that's what's so, you know, really, it's really incredible that these kids have been able to navigate it. I mean, we opened at Stanford early in the year. We played at Princeton, which those both are NCAA tournament teams. We went to an A&M team that was ranked in the top 20 at the time. We gave one away at Tennessee. They're a top 4 seed. So I think our non-conference, Jackson State's in the NCAA tournament. They were, you know, really good. I don't think Kim's real fired up about playing them right now, from what I've read. So, you know, I think it's prepared us. There's no question, and I think it's helped this team mature and grow a lot, and it made us. I mean, you either going to respond and get better, or you're going to wilt and fade away. And I told the kids that, you know, about the middle of late January, early February, I told them, I said, this is when teams either rise and get better, or they fade away. And you can look across the country and find a bunch of them that did both. And for us, that's what I think is so great about this team. They accepted the challenge, and they went on a run and won 11 straight. And you know, I think that's who this team is. I think if you want to find out who they are, that's who they are. They accepted it. You know, the sky was falling around here back when we lost 3 in a row. I mean, it was doom and gloom, and oh my gosh, and when are you going to be able to win, Vic? I mean, that came from my own media. And, you know, by the way, we lost at number 10 Oklahoma on a last-second shot, and then we lose back-to-back to Baylor within 36 hours. Well, they were top 10 too, so it wasn't like we were losing to some 3-name directional school. We played, you know, 2 great teams, three great games. So, you know, you don't panic. You just put your head down and your rear ends up and you go to work. And that's what this team did.
All right, we'll turn to our final questions now from our virtual media. Joining us, Lauren Moses from Bally Sports. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Coach. My question is back on Rory Harmon. Obviously, her hustle and effort is extremely undeniable and infectious. But I'm interested to know maybe not off the court, but what, aside from, you know, working on her skills, has she kind of put or added to her game to make her so successful? Her just being an applied movement science major, I'm interested to know if she's really you know, taking some tips from strength and conditioning and just making sure she's taking care of her body as well during this time in her young career.
Yeah, you know, I'm big on ice baths, and there's really no substitute for it. I know you got all kinds of apparatuses, and you can put your legs in different kinds of cold, whatever they are, sleeves and whatever. But I'm kind of an old-fashioned guy. You got to get in the ice bath up to your waist, and you stay there 8 minutes. And you know, she's learned to appreciate that and take care, as all of our kids do that play a lot of minutes. Joe, Audrey both play a lot of minutes for us, and you're talking about all kids these kids are all, they play really physical, and they're tough kids. So, you know, I think from a standpoint of taking care of them, and I've been, you know, I tried to, during the course of the season, if I had an opportunity to give her a little rest, I've tried to do that. But, you know, I think the thing that's really elevated her game is just the accountability piece. You know, early in her career, you don't realize, you know, at this level, like Audrey was talking about, you're the point guard, you're accountable for everybody. If somebody's in the wrong place and you're running a play and they're in the wrong place, well, it's not their fault, it's your fault. You got to get them there before you go, execute and run a play. And, you know, for her, she's learned the most important stats, the W. She's learned that I don't like turnovers, and I get really unhappy when she turns it over. Because she's got enough teammates that'll turn it over. She doesn't need to be one of them. And so I think when you talk to Audrey, and, you know, she kind of mentioned it but didn't exactly say it, but a couple things that changed this team, and she did say this. People got in the gym. After we lost to Baylor the second time, our 3rd in a row, it was evident we needed to fix our shooting woes. And so we had kids start to show up, getting in the gym, working on their game, because I'm a big proponent. You're going to get out of the game what you put into it. The game won't cheat you. It's real easy. If you don't work on your craft, if you don't work on your game, you're going to get that out of it. The game is really fair. And I've said that just like that to them on numerous occasions. And I think they embraced that and came to understand that, hey, I got to fix some of my shooting problem. Wide open. We were a horrible free throw shooting team earlier in the year. We had some kids shooting the ball miserably from the line. We as a team were not good. And so that became a focal point as well. And we're much different today than we were, 2 months ago from the free throw line. But I think for Rory, just the accountability piece, because, I have them fill out a sheet of paper after every game. They write the pros and cons of themselves, pros and cons of the team. And, I remember one paper specifically where Rory wrote down, I know it's all my fault. And she was basically, she's listening because, when you're the point guard, it is, you have to be accountable for everyone. And I think that she's come to really embrace that. And she understands the importance of taking care of the ball, of taking great shots. It's not about shots with me, it's about makes. And I think all of them have come to understand we've got certain players that need the ball in certain areas. If you really want to talk about, in a most improved area on our team, it's Lauren Nebo. Lauren was shooting 40% for the longest time. She's now shooting over 60, 65% in our last 7-8 ball games. And she by far is our most improved player over this 11-game winning streak. And what she's provided for us both ends, both defensively, she's guarded some of the best post players in the country, but offensively being an inside presence for us has really changed the dynamic of our team and has really allowed some of our guards to really flourish. So, I think she went to work. She changed. Lauren Nebo changed, and she changed in a number of ways, and it's really impacted our team in a very positive way. So, again, Rory has grown up. She's had to grow up in a hurry, but there's so much more to playing basketball than what you learn in high school, and a lot of it has to come with the job. And I had to tell her, hey, if you don't want the responsibility, you're going to have to move over and play the two. And we've got a lot of two guards here that shoot it pretty well. So, I didn't recruit you to play the two. So you're my point guard. You gotta embrace it. You gotta want the responsibility, want the accountability. I want you to be that person that runs my team, and so she's really embraced that. And you got to give her a lot of credit. I mean, for a young player, she's really, these last few ball games playing at a really high level. But again, it's the most important stat for a point guard is the W.
Coach, thank you so much for your time and your comments today, and best of luck to you and your team tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate y'all. Praise the Lord and hook 'em horns.
That'll conclude the Texas press conference for today. A reminder that a recording of this press conference will be available in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at www.ncaa.veritone.com. Transcripts are provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly. Thank you again for joining us.